The Dominic method is similar, except it's not based on this key, it's based on this. And the Dominic method is 1 is the letter A, 2 is the letter B, 3 is the letter C, 4 is the letter D, 5 is the letter E. And those are easy because those are the first 5 letters of the alphabet. Okay, so if you need to go back and remember, wait, what's my number? What's my if you have to go back and make a memory object and say, wait, I can't remember what number that represents, then you can go back and say, okay, A is this. Now I'll show you as an example. In this one, people use this almost exclusively for first names, first and last names. All right. So you wouldn't necessarily do this to create memory objects based on sounds like dime, okay, or ape. You would only use this if you're doing first and last names. So I'll give you an example. 15. So we'll decipher this. 15. What would that have to be in the Dominic method? Okay. 1 is a first name that starts with A. 5 is a first name that starts with E. I'm sorry, a last name that starts with E. So I wanted to use a memory object using the Dominic method, and I created a person whose first name starts with A and whose last name starts with E, and I created Albert Einstein. Okay. Now, if I was using the major method, that would be different. I would have to do a first name that starts with D or T and a last name that starts with L. But this is the one I chose. And again, it doesn't matter. You can mix and match as long as you always use Albert Einstein for your number 15, or you always use whatever this other one is. It really comes down to what's easiest for you, what's easier for you to remember. I will tell you that here are the techniques that I have used to memorize these. Because I already started with Dominic, let me go through the Dominic. What are the sort of triggers, the little links that you can use? For the first 5 letters, this is A is the first letter, 1. B is the second letter in the alphabet, 2. C is the third letter, 3. D is the fourth letter, 4. E is the fifth letter, 5. S is what 6 begins with. Okay, so that's how you remember that. If you see S, it's like 6, S6. G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. N is what 9 begins with, 9, and it's 2 N's in it. And then O looks like the letter 0. Okay, so those are your reminders. You can think the first 5 are based on the first 5, and then you can just go and remember these if you want to use that. For the major method, the way you do the major method is T and D have 1 downstroke. 1 downstroke. So that's 1. N has 2 downstrokes. So that's 2. M has 3 downstrokes. That's 3. R is what 4 ends with. Okay. I don't know if I can't remember what the good one is for 5. I always used it if you know the story American Tail. There's a guy there, Fievel, and I've always used 5-0, but there's probably a better method, and if I could find it, I'll put it in here. 6 is G, J, or sh. It's the zh sound, and 6 is kind of looks like a G reversed. 7 is, if you take 2 7s, that turns into a K, and that's the K or K sound. 8, I've always used 8 as, let me do the sound. 8 is F or V, and so what 8 is I've always used that as fate, like that fate. 8, if you put an F in front of it, turns into fate. 9 is P or B, and that is, if you turn a P or a B, reverse and upside down, it looks like a P or a lowercase b. So that's for 9 is P or B, and then 0 turns into an S, which is, or S or a Z, and that is the Z or S sound, okay? So now, this is your key. Let's just remember this. If you can come up with 110 numbers without using any of these techniques, and you can remember them and associate them, that's fine. But the reason that we use these techniques, either the major or the Dominic, is to one time in our life create memory objects that we can use, basic number objects that we can use over and over and over again. So when you decide that you're going to do, so I did taco for 17, okay? So that is not the ideal, right? You want to do a person, but I just wanted to put something up there. And again, the people that I'm going to use, some of them you're going to know, some of you're not going to know. Like, wait, I have a, where's my, so TR14, TR, I have a person who has the first name starts with T, second name starts with R, Teddy Roosevelt. Okay, so Teddy Roosevelt is my person for this number, and I can use that over and over again. Teddy Roosevelt 14, Teddy Roosevelt 14. Okay, now if I was saucy and I knew that Teddy Roosevelt was the 26th president, I might choose to use Teddy Roosevelt over here in 26 instead. But you want to choose something that works for you. All right. So let's see what else I have here. 0, Simba. Simba from The Lion King. Now that just starts as a one-letter or a one-word name. 1, I have Tony the Tiger. It's not necessarily great if you don't know Tony the Tiger. It's not good for you at all. But again, it's if you want to say that you want to have Tony the Tiger as your image for number 1, that's fine. You're probably choose something different. Neo. That's Neo from the movie The Matrix, or you could do Nemo from Finding Nemo. 5, I have Linus from the Peanuts cartoon. 6, I have a giant, just a giant as my image. L, Lucy, and oh, I did that wrong too. That should be a K. All right, I made a mistake there. So we'll erase that one. 8, I have an oaf, like a big oaf with an F. Again, I would choose a different one. You could use Frasier if you want to for that one, and have me be your image for 8. Okay. But as you go through here, 16, I have a DJ. 18, I have taffy. 19, I have toilet paper, and I think that was the last one that I did. Again, the reason I chose, even though I've told you that I want you to use names, people, the reason I chose these was because I'm not sure if the names that I'm going to choose you're going to be familiar with. It doesn't really matter. You can choose all sports figures. You can choose all figures from cartoons or Disney movies or whatever. The key right now, what I would start with, is go through all of them, pick out the ones that you can do easily, all right? And when you click on one of these, you're going to see what the initials should be so that when you go in and edit it, you can go in and make your name the way you want it to, all right? This is under development right now, so you'll hopefully by the time you finish this long video, you'll be able to go through. What I would say, there's really no substitute for just getting started and practicing. The first step that I want you to do is something you've already done on paper, which is to go through and see if there are any that you can use that you know just from other things, right? Because of sports, or the number that your brother had when he was playing soccer, or you had when you were playing soccer or baseball or football or whatever. Just go through and identify any numbers that you have, so you have some filled in already, all right? What you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to go through and see for each one of these, you're going to be able to go through and pull up their names, okay? And this is going to be your individual list that you can use and quiz yourself on, and see how quickly you can put things together to form dates, etc. You're going to be able to show images, right? Like these types of images. So I can go through and say, oh, Simba, Tony the Tiger, Maleficent, Rhino, Linus. You see how this works? Now you're going to have these images, and you're going to be able to say, okay, and then you can hide the images, and you can say, okay, do I know what what's number 2? Okay, that's Neo. Okay, what's number 10? Tom Sawyer. What's number 15? Albert Einstein. What's number 14? You remember what number 14 is? T.R. Teddy Roosevelt. All right? So this is going to be your laboratory for creating your distinct number objects that you're going to be able to use. Now, my reminder, try to create people, because what we're going to do is we're going to create each person and have a distinct action that's associated with it. Like Teddy Roosevelt might be swinging his sword above his head, or Albert Einstein might be writing on a chalkboard. And you're going to see that that's going to enable you to connect Teddy Roosevelt and Albert Einstein easily by creating a little mini memory story, and you're going to be able to remember these things in order. I'll give you a little sneak peek, but we're going to work on it together. If you saw an image in your head of Teddy Roosevelt writing on a chalkboard, what number would that be? Well, Teddy Roosevelt is associated with number 14. Albert Einstein is associated with the verb writing on a chalkboard. So when you see Teddy Roosevelt writing on a chalkboard, that turns into, for you, 1415. Now, that's only after you've created your memory objects. So the first step, and we're going to be working on this for the next couple weeks, just till you get your memory objects up. The first step is to come up with your people, your basic number objects for each of the numbers, or for as many as you can, okay? And when you run into a roadblock, then you want to use your major technique, if that works for you, or your dominant technique, if that works for you, to be able to turn the number into a number object, all right? And you'll be able to do that here by clicking on this button and going through this process, all right? This can be very fun because all you're really doing is taking images that you like and associating them with the numbers. And then as you practice this will be like the multiplication tables for you in math, where once or basic math facts. Once you've memorized these things, you'll be able to use them over and over again. So you'll be able to create numbers and be able to remember pi to the 20th digit in 5 seconds, 10 seconds. You'll be able to create a quick memory story to remember that, and you'll be able to recall it whenever you want. You'll be able to do dates whenever you want. You'll be able to create statistics and memorize them and add them to stories, and you'll be able to pack memory objects. This is really one of the missing ingredients that I've been referencing the entire class as to what you're going to be wanting to be able to do. So the promise here is if you stick with this process, watch this video, stick with this process, do what I tell you to do, try to fill out as many memory blocks as you can. I'm going to hopefully let people share the ones they come up with that I think might be valuable so that you can get some inspiration from other people. You do this and you fill out this grid, and you're going to be well on your way to mastering number memory and being able to link it to your memory objects.